What's up, Daddy?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our channel. My name is Sam.
I'm Ryan.
And we are here to talk about Broadway news today.
Sam, what's your favorite musical ever?
I don't know. I might have to say, Phantom of the Opera. I don't know where I was going with that bit,
You
really.
really had us on the edge.
I know everyone was like, well, what is she going to say? I really can't see where this is going. Phantom of the Opera.
How long has Phantom been open?
15 years, right?
So, less time than Wicked's been open. Phantom's been
wait.
open for 35 years, I'm pretty sure.
Wrong. Ask me again.
How long has Phantom been open?
35 years.
So Samantha's favorite Broadway musical ever has been open for 35 years, and everyone said Phantom's never gonna close, and yet.
We have received news that you maybe have heard by now. I really hope I'm not the first person telling you this, but Phantom of the Opera has announced its closing date. It's gonna be closing February 18th, 2023.
And this isn't like breaking news, like they post,
They posted it.
Yeah,
it's been announced.
Like a month ago?
Yes, but I will say it does seem like it was one of those situations that it was released by the New York Times as unofficial news before it was actually announced to, unfortunately, I think even members of the company.
Yeah. That's like what Playbill did when they said that Broadway was shutting down, and then we heard from our respective company managers that it indeed was true. Back when COVID happened, but Dark Brandon has declared COVID over, so we don't even need to talk about COVID.
Let's not go there. Let's stick to Broadway.
So, with the news of Phantom of the Opera, the longest running Broadway musical ever, closing, we thought that that was sort of potentially a barometer either of what was to come or what is happening right now in the Broadway zeitgeist. I, of course, being actor and singer Ryan McCartan, Broadway starlet, and Samantha, of course, being a huge fan of Broadway. That's kind of the like vibe that we go for on the channel, you know, like expert and girlfriend react.
Ew! Boo! Everyone go boo Ryan! Boo Ryan!
All right. Come on, just being facetious.
Come on, facetious.
But, we thought that, oh, hey, wow, what a great opportunity for us to make more Broadway content, which you love and we love making. Talking about, like, okay, if the stalwart, the juggernaut of Broadway musicals is shutting its doors forever, what does that mean about Broadway?
What does that mean for the rest of Broadway too? Because I've seen so many people talking on social media and reacting to this news like, what does this mean? What's going on? I've never imagined a world where Phantom is not on Broadway, and that's kind of how I felt. I've just imagined that it was gonna be there forever. But naturally, shows don't last forever.
Right.
It's not always Broadway is doomed and like the arts are dying, but maybe let's talk about some of the other shows closing, because I feel like a lot of Broadway fans have just been hit with closing date after closing date after closing date, and it is making me feel a little like, guys, Broadway, hey.
So again, just to sort of re-articulate the boundary, fan, expert, just to come up with a bit more nuanced perspective here, yes, of course, Phantom was all... We're gonna fight after we're done filming this. Phantom was always going to close. All shows close.
Point, yeah.
But I didn't think it was gonna close right now.
35 years?
No, it's not about 35 years, it's about right now. Like, it sort of seemed to me that when COVID shut down Broadway for the longest Broadway has ever shut down, sort of the responsibility to keep Broadway revenue recirculating upon Broadway's reopening would have been on the shoulders of the giants like Phantom of the Opera, Wicked, Hamilton, what have you. Chicago, even though, like, I don't know why, but Chicago's still open for some reason.
I'm sorry, you're telling me that, like, Phantom is closing, but Chicago's still there?
Girl, that's a whole other video, but I have thoughts. All of that is to say, like, some things are closing, some things are trying it, it's a whole post-pandemic environment, I get all that. For Phantom to be closing now signals to me that if even the titans of Broadway had a hard time navigating a 2-year shutdown and can't recoup now that Broadway is reopened, that signals to me potential downriver effects. And I'm not saying that Broadway is doomed forever, but yeah, let's go through what's closing, what's opening, what's on Broadway right now, and then do some fan and expert analysis about what that could potentially mean for the future of theatre.
All right, I'm just gonna kind of go through the list here. So in terms of closing dates, we did have a recent closing. Dear Evan Hansen closed on September 18th. Beetlejuice has announced its closing date, January 18th. Now, I am really surprised by this one because obviously the Music Man entering the Winter Garden, knocking out Beetlejuice was a really big deal. I feel like Beetlejuice just got into its new theater, so I'm very shocked that that is now closing. Beetlejuice is closing January 8th.
The little engine that could, though. I mean, like, Dear Evan Hansen, I guess I'm kind of surprised that that's closing because I think that people really loved it, but I'm not all that surprised. I feel like Dear Evan Hansen was such a Ben Platt thing that now that Ben Platt isn't there, it was sort of like, okay, we'll cycle through a couple guys and then close it, and that is kind of what happened.
There's a piece of me that thinks that Dear Evan Hansen is also such a heavy show that honestly, it seems like a couple year run to me.
Yeah,
there's something about the show that feels like once enough people see it, you're not necessarily like, I'm gonna go back and like, you know, it's a heavy show.
Hey, like, families from Middle America, spend all your money to watch this teenager rat these families and their grieving lives. Like, yeah, probably not the easiest.
It's not the Lion King, you know?
But yeah, Beetlejuice, I mean, alive, dead, alive, dying again. I mean, it's tragic because Beetlejuice is so good. But yeah, so Beetlejuice is closing, Phantom is closing. We obviously already talked about that. Come From Away is closing.
Just closed.
Oh, just
2
closed.
days of
October 2nd.
As we're filming this, yeah, just recently closed.
Okay.
That's another show that I will say I think I expected to go a little bit longer, but I think could strike
for a long
the same tone as Dear Evan Hansen a little bit.
No, Come From Away is
it's much more joyful. But
oh yeah, much more hopeful. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the thing that's interesting to me about Come From Away is that a long time ago we made a like what's going to become of Broadway prediction video when we were still in the thick of the pandemic. And one of my predictions was that because Broadway is going to struggle to repay their debts, deal with the greedy theater owners, be able to entice audiences, that the response post-pandemic was gonna be to make really simple but effective theater based on ensemble storytelling. And that's what Come From Away is.
Exactly.
To me, Come From Away is like the future of Broadway if you do it right, in my opinion. I think what's actually gonna happen is just jukebox musicals all over the place, but that's another thing. I'm shocked that Come From Away is closing.
Music Man has also announced its closing date, January 1st, 2023, New Year's Day. Now, this is also a little shocking to me because I feel like with the Beetlejuice Winter Garden change, people were shocked, but considering they had Sutton Foster and Hugh Jackman in these leading roles, I'm not that surprised that they're deciding to just close the show once those two are leaving. And then finally on our list, we have Into the Woods, closing January 8th, 2023. Now,
Run,
of course,
don't walk to see that one.
Yeah, because this is, every iteration of this cast I've seen has been insane. So if you have the opportunity, go. Quick editor note, we are predominantly covering musicals. Naturally, there are some plays on Broadway, closing, opening, but that is not necessarily my cup of tea. So we're talking about musicals, okay? I feel like it's only natural to pivot from what's closing to talking about some potentially hopeful things coming into Broadway, because right now it feels like everything's ending. What's going on?
No, it is very interesting though. We have 6 official closing dates, some of which have already happened, and only 4 official opening dates. We have Almost Famous opening October 3rd.
yesterday.
Oh,
for
jeez.
us.
I keep thinking it's still September.
I know.
Heavens to Betsy. So Almost Famous is now open on Broadway.
Shout out to Katie Ladner.
Katie Ladner. She
Hey.
played Martha Dunstock in Heathers with me. She's fantastic. She's in Almost Famous and has been attached to that entity for a long time. So I'm happy to see her get her comeuppance there. And Juliet is opening. That's the sort of retelling of Romeo and Juliet from the perspective of Shakespeare, rewriting it to have a new ending and set to Max Martin music. This had a lot of buzz in the UK. They just did an out of town in Toronto, and now it is opening on October 28th of next year. No, must be
this year.
That says 2023. Who takes these notes? Jeez. Almost Famous and Juliet, I'm excited about both of them just because I've heard about them. Some Like It Hot is opening in November. I actually haven't heard anything about Some Like It Hot.
I really haven't heard much about it. I just found it on a list of, hey, what Broadway musicals are coming to this next Broadway season? I really don't know anything about anyone attached, so this is one that I'm like,
we'll see.
We will see. We'll see how it is. And then, I'm sorry, I don't want to cast any judgment on something I have not fully experienced yet. But this is, I guess, kind of breaking news because in the last, 2 days of us filming this, Andrew Lloyd Webber has announced his next project. Coming off of the announcement that Phantom of the Opera is closing. Show beloved by most. His next project coming to Broadway is Bad Cinderella. I need to read just the tagline for a moment. Bad Cinderella. In the perfect kingdom of Belleville, this damsel is the distress. Anyway, Broadway previews begin February 17th, 2023. Tickets on sale now.
At the Majestic?
The Imperial Theater.
We don't know anything about this entity, and when we saw that this entity was coming to Broadway and we just did a very preliminary amount of research, we were just sort of like, what
is this?
So that's what's like coming, and then all of the things that survived and continue to survive
for
now. Aladdin, Lion King, Funny Girl, Hadestown, Chicago, How, Wicked, Hamilton, Harry Potter, MJ the Musical, why are we making a musical glorifying that man? Moulin Rouge, Six, and Book of Mormon. So,
still some heavy hitters.
Aladdin and Lion King are Disney properties. They will be open for as long as Disney wants them to be. The Lion King has been open for 1 billion years, so like obviously it's working. Chicago's been open for 1 billion years. I don't understand how, but it has been. Wicked's amazing and still open. Hamilton's amazing. Book of Mormon, amazing. Six has a lot of buzz around it. Moulin Rouge, I don't get it, but a lot of people really like it. MJ the Musical, I'm furious that it exists, but a lot of people really like it. Hadestown, just a gem of a piece, Tony Award winner. Funny Girl, I think it's just Leah Michele and all of the drama. I think that like that's one of those all press is good press kind of things. And Harry Potter. Which I've seen on Broadway and it's fantastic, so I'm not at all surprised. That's a play though. Okay, so we sort of have a sense of what's coming, of what's going, of what's staying. Is there anything that we can decipher from this information?
It really makes me think that at least in the near future, Broadway isn't going to be in the headspace of taking risks with new, not seen before properties. I really hope that doesn't mean just a bunch of jukebox musicals.
Well, but wait a minute.
I know.
Almost Famous and Juliet, Some Like It Hot, and Bad Cinderella are all new properties.
Almost Famous is a movie adaptation.
I know, but it's a new property. That's a risk. It's not just, well, okay, so
it has some name credits.
And Juliet is the music of Max Martin. So that is very much in the ilk of like slick, everyone will know what it is kind of things.
I still kind of put, I mean, even Some Like It Hot a little bit, but like I still put Almost Famous in that category because it is a movie.
This doesn't say that Broadway isn't taking risks, but the risks that it is taking do seem quite calculated.
Yes.
To your point, Almost Famous, a movie we all know, and Juliet, based on a story we all know with music literally everyone has heard. It's Max Martin. Some Like It Hot, a movie we know. Bad Cinderella, a twist on a movie we know. Hamilton is not in here. This new show with new material from a hot writer. Dear Evan Hansen is not in here. New material, hot writer. Like there's nothing brand
Beetlejuice,
new.
like,
Right.
yeah.
But even Beetlejuice
was
is
a
like
movie.
Some Like It Hot.
It's
Like
pretty slick.
this is my least optimistic prediction. I kind of feel like Broadway is going to turn into Vegas.
Oh.
Like just sort of like you go there to have a nice dinner, get a little buzz on if you're of age, and like go see really slick commercial entertainment for 2 hours.
I do think that is the best way to describe my experience with Moulin Rouge. It was a really good Vegas show.
Well, and Six like is it's new, it's exciting. But it's like, I mean, it's a concert. It's just like a pop concert.
It is just
it's
a
like,
concert, yeah.
I mean, and not just a concert.
yeah,
like speaking as a Broadway performer,
of course,
I can say that you're going to need to check that language a little bit just to be a little bit more respectful to like my ilk
I respect
of performers.
your craft.
Yeah,
I respect
thank
your
you so
craft.
much. I feel
Absolutely. No offense.
now we're going to fight twice after the video. But this all, what's coming, all just looks like slick entertainment. I don't see Hamilton on here. I don't see Dear Evan Hansen on here. I don't see South Pacific on here. I don't see a chorus line on here. I don't see anything that like is gonna change Broadway forever. It's gonna like when Hamilton opened, it brought a whole new even when Beetlejuice brought a whole new audience to Broadway because they did such smart things with the internet. And like I don't know if this is bringing new people to Broadway as much as it is just enticing old fans of Broadway to come and stop the bleeding a little bit.
And you know what? I know that you were saying that that's like your least optimistic point of view, but I also think that's okay. The pandemic just happened.
Of course.
Broadway has just had its year anniversary of reopening.
Of course.
It is in a tough spot. So this is where I'm kind of putting my artistic critique aside a little bit to be like, baby, do what you need to do to stay alive.
Yeah.
You know, do what you need to do. These are still entertaining shows.
No, of course. That wasn't a criticism, it was just an observation. And the reason that I felt pessimistically about what I just said isn't because I am adverse to the pendulum of Broadway swinging to a certain place in order to correct what has just happened from the pandemic. The thing that I'm afraid of is sometimes when pendulums swing, they stay there.
Sure.
And if this new wave of just like safe, slick musicals ends up being the center of the pendulum, and it takes a really wide swing to the left to see anything new, creative, innovative, fresh, and pretty much everything else is going to match what's already working. I understand that this needs to happen for the next couple of years. I'm just talking about like in 10, 20 years, are we going to go back to fresh, innovative, enticing new works? Or are all of the things on Broadway going to be like the things that already are on Broadway, things that have staying power and that we've heard of before? Only time will tell. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most optimistic you could ever be, how are you feeling about the future of Broadway?
Honestly, a 6 or a 7, because I feel like I see Broadway potentially making the moves it's gonna need to make in order to stay stable and stay alive.
Yeah, I'm in the exact same. I'm gonna give it a solid 7.
Yeah.
I think that that what's happening is just what has to happen to keep the industry alive. And frankly, I almost wonder that while we are all enjoying all of the same stuff that we've seen, which isn't a bad thing, it just is what it is, that's going to give the opportunity for a couple sneaky people to take really big risks and to come in here with a couple of titles that are going to change everything. Another prediction is that in a few seasons, we're going to have one of the most competitive Tony Awards ever. Because all of a sudden, some of these people are going to be swinging from the fences all at the same time. And we're all going to be like, whoa, where did that come from? And it's not going to be that one earth-shattering new musical. It's going to be like 3 in a season, and we're going to be like, oh man, we just discovered the future of theater. And then from there, we might be able to be on an upswing. That's my optimistic take.
Yeah. Wonderful.
So 2 sevens over here. That's our thoughts on the future of Broadway and also the past of Broadway and also the present of Broadway. Broadway. I'll say it one more time. Broadway.
Please let us know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. We know you guys love it when we talk all things Broadway, so please share your thoughts.
After you're done sharing your thoughts in the comments, be sure to like and subscribe. And we will see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye, Daddy.
R.I.P. Phantom.